Hi, I was Zack Sullivan until quite recently, but now I seem to have been adopted Zack number 2. So thank you very much for having me up here today. I'm the Operations Director at Future Publishing. I'm here today to share a little bit of Future's recent experiences and some of the journeys that we've been on with a couple of our, well, one brand in particular, but reflected across our whole portfolio. I thought I'd start with a quick summary, though, of Future. The company was founded in 1985, so we're definitely not the oldest in the industry, but we're definitely not brand new to the industry either. Our first publication was Amstrad Action, for anyone that remembers back in the day. And we're now a global company, headquartered in Bath. We have about 600 employees globally, spread between offices in the UK, US, and Australia. We're a specialist media publisher, like Decisive, and we operate websites, magazines, and events. And we also do some software as a service provisioning in the industry as well. I forgot to pick to begin with. So, Future is comprised of 200 brands currently, some of which you can see on the screen behind me here. These brands are always number one or a market leader within their industry and vertical that they operate. Our main verticals currently are consumer technology, video gaming, photography, music, and creative design. These brands have given us a global scale. We have 100 million consumers globally within our main portfolio. But it's often very easy to talk about the numbers or the brands without really getting into the depth of what a company is or how you survive in the media industry. And I'd like to touch on that a little bit more with you all today. So why we exist? Very existential point, I thought, to move it away from some of the discussions we've had today. Our purpose is to change people's lives. It's something we fundamentally believe in as a business. It influences an awful lot of what we do, our culture, our values, and our internal decision-making. This may sound like hyperbole, and I do accept that, but the advantage of operating within a niche and being specialized and focused on your core audience is that you're able to make a lasting difference to those consumers. For us, it's about being part of our audience and their community, sharing their passion, and trying to add value to their experiences day in and day out. So now we know a little bit more about Future, we can turn to some of the main topics of this session. Culture, the relationship with the audience, and the new ventures that we've been taking. These topics, to me, are all highly interconnected. You cannot treat them as separate elements. The company culture exists and is a huge enabler for how you're able to connect with your given audience. At Future, we think this is highly important. All members of the business are expected to know about our brands. They're expected to participate in our brands where appropriate, and to be as engaged as many of our audience are. It's the responsibility of everyone in the business to make sure that we continue to fit the needs of our consumers every day. The connection that you have with your audience, in turn, is what gives you the knowledge to capitalize on these new commercial opportunities that are appearing all the time. It helps you to understand the direction that your audience is going in, and in turn, the direction that your company must go into. When I was asked to come and talk today a little bit about venturing forward, I thought it would be best to take some real examples. One of our brands, which has seen the most change in recent times, has been very impressive to me, and I wanted to share that case study with you a little bit. So I want to talk in a little bit more detail about PC Gamer. This is PC Gamer in 2009. And it was a print magazine brand, only a print magazine brand. It had a small but dedicated fan base, had a limited reach, and a declining circulation. It operated within the print industry, which was into structural decline. The industry was in structural decline, and the wider media industry was changing out of all recognition. The brand was still core to its audience, but it hadn't changed in the way that they had. They'd moved on to new platforms and had started to move to competitor sites. At this point, something had to change. It's been a slightly long journey, but this is PC Gamer today. It's been a seminal year for PC Gamer, winning Best Online Media Consumer Brand at the AOP, It now has 9 million monthly users. It has a social reach of 12 million. The site's generated 200 million sessions and 690 million page views. And that's a 30 and 50% increase year on year, respectively. And of course, we still do produce the print brand. It's core to the whole brand as it holds together. The different elements help us meet our audience's needs. So how did we get there? The first thing to say is we went through an awful lot of change. And I'll be honest and say that an awful lot of it didn't work. But this is the media industry that we live in today. Many of the changes are thrust upon us due to shifts in the industry, whilst increasing competition encourages us to look for a competitive advantage. I'm sure that the phrase media first isn't going to be alien to anyone in the room. The key to PC Gamer's success and transformation has been the culture that exists at Future. And I'd like to take two of our values as a company and share them with you to help understand the changes we've been through. Let's Do This is one of my favorites. The values that have developed the culture, the value that this has helped to develop our culture in Let's Do This is a reminder to the business to embrace change. We need to do new things. It can be easy to sit back and depend on the brands which have matured, but we must recognize that they need to evolve. After all, the only thing that is constant is change. Now, I know our fellow panelists have said this already, and you're going to think it's a fix, and Dilip's primed us all, but we have all seemed to have come to that conclusion naturally, which I think is quite retrospective of the industry wider. For me, this has been the biggest shift in Future's own culture. When I joined personally 3 years ago, it was a company that was slightly struggling with itself and what direction to go in. A willingness to take chances and an acceptance that what is working for us right now is very unlikely to be what is working for us in 2 or 3 years' time is what's made us more adaptable in the market. Being reactionary rather than proactive means that you follow rather than lead. And leading will always give you a better chance at making your business a success. Another value we have is we're part of our audience and their community. This ensures that we have a culture where we genuinely appreciate our audience and recognize that the audience is everything to us. All our teams are encouraged to listen to reader feedback. This is shared widely around the business. It gives us a truer understanding of the value that consumers get from their interactions with Future and what we're doing, be it well or be it not so well. We have an internal Slack channel, which is negative feedback. It's like opening Pandora's box sometimes. But it's important to really get that first-hand experience of what you're not doing well. Treating the audience with the respect that they're absolutely due. They don't need to spend their time with you, so you need to be respectful of them and make sure it's a good experience. We find that taking the feedback firsthand is a good way of doing that, although they find some pretty creative ways to question your competency. As we change, we haven't got everything right, and so it's important that we're able to listen to the audience, to take the feedback, and refine our editorial experience and our product offering. This relationship with our audience is what we're most proud of at Future, and it's this that I'd like to dwell on a little bit more. So audience relationship. Audience relationship to us is science and art. It's data and editorial experience. It's this that's driven PC Gamer's success since 2009. And today, through to today, editorial experience is something that we have in abundance as a company. Data, though, has been more of a challenge. I suspect that this is a sentiment that will be shared more widely in the room, as I suspect it will be on the panel as well. With data, we've always had lots of access, lots and lots of data. However, the challenge has been in using it to influence the development of audience strategies, to inform our product development. As a business, we're trying to demystify data so that all teams can actively engage with it to help them make more informed decisions more quickly and react to the changing needs of our consumers. This is going to sound like buzzword bingo, so let me move on to some actual examples. Data has helped us to understand what type of content we should be producing and when to publish it to maximize audience engagement. The slide behind me here is showing you the audience engagement before, during, and after the launch of Fallout 4, a recent game title part of a wider franchise. Each point on the graph correlates to a specific piece of content. We have different types that we produce, be it rumors, reviews, guides, and editorials. You'll see the traffic increase through search before launch, and it peaked at release of around 6 million page views. But as a business, we're dependent on driving additional page views, not being purely driven by the seasonal spikes or the natural trends of a product launch. This is something we see replicated across our portfolio, be it video games or technology, be it new software for creative and design, be it new camera launches in the camera portfolio. And we've been able to refine when we should be producing different points of contact with the audience to drive as much engagement as possible and giving us the most chance to speak to them. This slide is talking more about the product strategy, which in turn has been driven in part by the data we've gathered through PC Gamer's site. We found that search demand for the hardware content started to increase around 2013, towards the end of 2013. Through analysis of search demand and studies of our audience, it became a priority for us as a business to start addressing this consumer need. So we've asked them plain and simply through different audience studies, do you want a hardware channel? And the positive feedback that came back made us realize it was the right thing to do. So in 2015, we did launch the hardware channel. It now has 2 million unique monthly users, and it has allowed us to deploy our e-commerce solution, Hawk, onto PC Gamer. We believe that this, in part, is helping to add a better user experience, helping them to make better buying decisions. So extending the brand. Quantitative data needs to be backed up with qualitative data. We have reams and reams and reams of data, and it doesn't always tell you the truth. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is to speak to the audience directly. A key part of our product research was the realization that the audience wanted more live engagement. We saw the development of competitors in the market like Twitch that were offering live streaming. They wanted video streaming, and they wanted to be present at events. In 2015, we launched the PC Gaming Conference at E3. This is something new for us, and it's worked exceptionally well and continues to create a lot of excitement around the business. On the back of it, we made the decision to launch our new consumer event, the PC Gaming Weekender, here in London. The first one was held last year. The feedback's been fantastic, and we're hoping to roll it out more widely in North America next year. With all these efforts, the primary focus has always remained on building a better audience relationship. So what's been the result? Fundamentally, this is always going to come down to a commercial output. And this is how PC Gamer's revenue model has changed. Our reliance on print revenue has diminished. That in part was structural as money moved out of the market. But we've worked hard to increase the mix through events, e-commerce, and digital ad revenues. And for me, this is the future of the publishing industry. The ability to diversify a brand and leverage it to create new revenue streams is of the utmost importance for everyone in the coming years. It helps future-proof us against decisions by platforms that might be detrimental to us. And it really helps to add extra value to the consumer's engagement with your brand. And that's me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well,